All right, in today's episode, we sit down with Kayleigh Shondee, a young mom who just moved to the area. We're going to talk about CrossFit. We're going to talk about Jesus, healthy food, politics, and the dangers of corporate-controlled media. Let's go. Hey, welcome to the North Idaho Experience, a podcast for the people of North Idaho and those who are North Idaho curious. These stories, the people that we have on here, they all have one common tie. That is North Idaho is their home. If you're thinking about making North Idaho your home, give our real estate team a call, text, or email. Kayleigh Shondee, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
So she hit me up. She found social media. Is that where you found us?
Yeah. We started watching the podcast.
Yeah, and then messaged me and was like, and then we got on the phone, and you have such a good energy. I was like, let's do this.
I've done a lot of lives, and I love it.
Good. You're good at it. And I was like, well, let's see what happens. So we have some topics to cover today. One thing we did want to talk about is you have a very young family. You just made the move up here, so that's something very important. You're very strong in your faith. So we're going to hit those topics, and I don't know where else we'll go from there, but
we'll just see.
Yeah, we'll just see. So you guys, how long have you been watching this show?
We probably started watching in January. Once we knew we were going to move, I interviewed, got accepted for a position as a PT here beginning of January. I needed some time to kind of pack up everything in Phoenix with a baby and a dog. So I was like, I need 2 months to kind of get everything. So we started just like binge watching once we knew we were coming up here. And we just like couldn't stop. We're like, oh, okay, obviously we're going to buy eventually. So we're just like looking, and then all the other things came up. And I'm like, oh, well, we go to Lakeside CrossFit. So all that came up. Nick
Are
Carter,
you at Lakeside CrossFit?
Are.
I just started back
Shout
over
out.
there.
Let's go.
Friday. I started back over there. I was there this morning too.
Oh, you're in the morning guy? Okay.
Yeah.
What time do you start there? 6?
5:30.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go.
That's probably tough. You have a 6-month-old?
Yeah, and my husband works at 6 a.m., so we're 5:30 p.m.ers.
Oh,
But if you go Saturday, we will see you.
Oh, those nighttime workouts.
Only because of work. If not, we would definitely go in the morning. So shout out to CrossFit.
Yeah, Lakeside. Good spot.
And then we know Britta Harder, so Nate Harder was on as well.
That's right.
She was our neighbor when we lived here a year ago. So we already knew. So we already had all these connections, and I was like, I'm going to message him and be on the podcast. Yeah. I was like, I need to come and talk. I need to do this.
If you're wondering who Nate Harder is, that he runs Protectors Peak, which is a first responder mental health. I'm losing the word here. I have the brochure around here somewhere. Anyway, they do retreats for first responders. So if you're out there suffering, look them up. They do spouse retreats as well. Nate Harder is a wonderful human being.
You know, while we're on that topic too, real quick, we have a lot of connections in this community for stuff like that, especially for first responders and veterans. I even have a friend from San Bernardino that comes up here and actually leads retreats, just taking first responders out fishing. And going out for a week and like camping and just just getting away from everything. So if you're ever looking for stuff like that, hit us up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, our buddy Mike Williams, he runs Lionheads Outfitters. Same thing. They do veteran retreats up here for hunting and fishing. So there's a lot, and you can get in the woods. You can get in the woods for little or no cost if you're from that background, which is an amazing thing. Sorry, I got sidetracked.
No, I love it.
Important to us.
It's all supporting the community. I love it.
Yeah, that's kind of our jam.
So back up here, connected with everybody. All right.
You're from Boise?
I'm from Bozeman. I grew up in Bozeman, went to Montana State, go Bobcats, went to PT school in Phoenix, just stayed there, opportunity, met my boyfriend, now husband, at CrossFit. So we're big into that field. And then I knew I wanted to come back north. So we moved here for like 4 months last year. And then once he was going to basic training, all that stuff, I got pregnant. I was like, oh, I don't know if I can be here. I don't know anybody here right now. And his family's down there on the Navajo Nation, so his family's closer. And then I was like, let's just go back for a little bit, and then once we're ready and you're settled and we're kind of more settled, we can come back. So we moved back for a year. We love moving, clearly.
Yeah,
we've moved fun. 4 times in like a year. So and then I was like, okay, it's time. Like I feel very called to keep. This is just always like a God calling for me to come back north. And I was like, okay, let's just do it. Like this is the time. Like with a 6-month-old, okay.
Why not Bozeman?
Cost of living, we just watched that also, my parents have been there forever, and it's just outrageous, and they just didn't have enough jobs. As a PT, I only do home care, so I kind of like have to pick and choose. And we'd already been here. We're like, it's close. My brother's in Missoula with his baby, so we're kind of close to everybody enough, but still have opportunity job wise. So that was a big one.
That's very seasonal over there.
That's handy that you're a PT and you're in the CrossFit world, because some of my best injuries have come from working out during CrossFit.
And that's why you're the healthiest. We love it.
As I've gotten older, I've gotten a lot smarter, and I don't let the ego get ahead of me there. But
yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah. All right, so you're back in town. How was that move?
It was a good time.
Yeah.
It was probably a harder move because I was like, oh, I'm going to be bougie. Like, we're going to have movers come. Okay, cool. Because baby and I flew up. She was not going to tolerate the car.
Yeah.
And then Sheldon, my husband, who's the best husband in the world, drove with our dog up. But I thought the movers would just come. And then when I get there, they're like, oh, it's like 14 business days before you're going to get your stuff. And we were like, oh.
That's cool.
So we bought like dog beds. We had our air mattress and like her pack and play. So we just hung out on dog beds in the living room and slept on the air mattress for like 2 weeks. So I was like, oh, okay, this is a good time.
Yeah, hiring movers is definitely nice, but you lose a little control.
Yeah, I did
over
not
your
like
items.
that.
Yeah, that's the biggest complaint.
Yeah. Yep.
You know how I feel about hiring movers.
Yep. I already have a couple
burned.
claims in. Yep.
I've had
our bed frame is missing.
10 clients get burnt. Right. Yeah. Yeah. The box that was labeled Xbox, my son's Xbox, that one box mysteriously went missing.
Well.
So strange.
It's one thing to have somebody move you across country. It's another thing when somebody's local taking you around.
Now that we have some local companies that
way
we
better.
do trust. Yes. Yeah.
That makes a big difference. Moving across
Rockstar
country.
Moving. They're moving my stuff here in a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Good. You should get him to play some music too while he's doing it.
That's a good idea.
Rock music
So
only.
Yes.
what's your, I like to ask this when we have people that move here. You've obviously lived in a few places. You're very familiar with North Idaho. What is the biggest thing, if you were to point out one difference between Arizona, where you came from, and here, what is it? And don't say the landscape.
The weather, obviously.
Yeah.
It's so hot. Everybody is so nice here. So Arizona's a really big running community. We're also ultra runners, so we love to do that too.
Define ultra running.
I've run 2 marathons.
Forever.
Yes, I had signed up for a 50K, so that was like my goal.
I don't
but
even
then I got
like
pregnant,
to
so then I couldn't
drive
do
that far.
Yeah.
Like I don't just know.
We just like to train. We just like to suffer every day.
Yeah,
you know?
good. I mean that is good.
We love it.
I'm all about
So
suffering.
people are nice here. I keep hearing this, and I agree with it.
Yeah.
But what is it? Where are all these mean people? Like, what?
We
How is
noticed
it that people are coming here and they're like, wow, everybody all of a sudden is
noticed
really
it on the
nice?
trails. So when we run, like in Phoenix, they have different canal systems, but we're used to just, hey, it's the runner's hey, right? And nobody does that in Phoenix. And here, everybody is like, oh, hey, everybody at the store, everybody at the post office, the DMV is so nice.
Yeah.
We talked about that, and then Sheldon came home and was like, he's right. Everybody was so nice at the DMV.
We have the nicest DMV. That's crazy.
That's a strong indicator of the general happiness of the society that you're in.
The DMV.
Is how it is at the DMV. You go to a DMV in California, oh my God.
When I try to describe it, bad experience. I'm like, it's like the California DMV. People are like, oh, okay. Yeah,
Even if they don't know, they know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge difference.
That is so cool. It is really neat because a lot of people, everybody has a mixed perception, especially of North Idaho. And when they come up here and they realize that, they're like, man, like people are really inclusive up here. People really like nice people. If you're an asshole, you don't get accepted very well in this area.
Right.
People don't like that, right? Very much, you keep to yourself on your land. You kind of have your space, but people do want to have a community up here. And I think that shows, especially like you said, like it doesn't matter where you go. People will stop and have a conversation with you.
Yep.
I guess you have the added benefit of being able to say, I'm from Montana.
Yeah, that really helps.
That helps. But have you had any pushback, like when you show up? Like, did you show up with Arizona plates?
I do, only because they're expire in June, and I'm like, I don't want to get new ones. But I do have an Idaho driver's license, so that helps.
Yeah.
But no, usually I'm like, oh, I'm from Bozeman, but we've been living in Arizona, and everybody's like, oh, that's so great, like awesome.
Yeah,
I've never had
that's
anybody.
helpful. I was in Arizona for school.
Yeah, because I was there for like 10 years. But opportunity, I mean, I bought a house there, sold it, paid off all my student loans. I'm a big Dave Ramsey follower, so that helped a lot coming up here. But everybody, it's just crazy. Like, gym, the grocery store, it's very noticeable how nice. And obviously we're involved with our church, so everybody at one place, Church in Hayden, is so nice.
Cool.
And
So
everybody.
You go to one place. Right on. How do you like it?
We love it. We go on.
No, we have that. That's on our website. We actually have a specific spot on our website, NorthIdahoExperience.com, and that's where we have, we'll have churches and stuff like that listed on there. Because I think that's a huge part of getting involved in your community.
Especially up here, everybody knows Jesus, which is amazing, which is kind of why we gravitated here anyway, just because of that. And like the CrossFit community here is really great. Everybody's really active. But we're just such crazy followers that like finding community with that. And the first question people ask you when you get up here, they're like, oh, what church you go to? It's like the one or two questions. What's your name? What church you go to? And I'm like, it's amazing. Like people know Jesus. They know, like, and it shows. Like people really act like Jesus.
Yeah. And you know what's neat too that I love about the faith-filled community up here is I don't see a lot of negative crossover and competition from different churches. Like I go to Anthem Coeur d'Alene. There was actually a group for a while. I don't know if they still exist, but they would wear the same shirts and they would go to a different church every week. And it was just their way of like,
That's
kind of like
interesting.
blending in and like, hey, we're all one. And I think that's pretty cool because, you know, churches can get like, I don't go to one place because it's too busy for me. There's too much, right? You guys got 3 services now.
Is that where they have the youth group that our kids went to one time? Okay, cool.
Selah still goes there. I mean, they love youth group there. It's a fantastic church, but not for me, right? Like I don't like the 3. I don't like the hustle and bustle. They have great worship there. Phenomenal group of people. Tons of friends go there. But I also prefer, you know, I go to Anthem Coeur d'Alene. We have 1 service. We tried to go to 2, and our pastor and our leadership were like, you know what? We kind of feel like we're starting to create 2 churches because you do. You get the early and the late. And he said, you know what, we're going to bring this all back together, even if it's too packed. And we've kind of maintained around 300 people. We really don't have much room to grow. And I like it because when I don't go to church, I get texts and people are like, oh, dude, I hope everything's good. Where are you? And so I like that community of the fact that I'm noticed when I'm not there. But one place, we've been to that church, phenomenal. There's a lot of good churches out here. And so I love that community that we have to where there's not necessarily like, oh, you go to one place and I go to Anthem or you go to, you know, whatever. I do love that about this.
And every church is amazing. Like we've checked out a few, and everybody it's so small. You have connections at every single church. It's like, oh, this person goes here, and we know this, or this person goes to the gym, and then they go here. So it's like everybody supports everybody, and like just living for Jesus up here, which is amazing.
I think it's phenomenal.
What's the biggest church up here?
Real life.
The Post Falls which is funny because one place is the smallest church I've ever been to. In Phoenix, our mega churches are wild. Yeah. They're so
like how
fun.
many people?
Like huge. They have like 5 services a day, and it's like at least 500 to 1,000 in the stadium or in their arena. It's great.
It's and I think it's good that we have those larger churches like real life. Real life is very, very ingrained in the community. You know, they have sports complexes. They have all sorts of cool stuff like that. They have different campuses.
The one in Post Falls has the next to the food truck court.
Yeah.
So and they have the sports fields there.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's real life and great church, not for me, right? And I think that's the thing. You know, when you talk about people that are walking with Jesus and trying to develop a relationship, there's different times and different feels where you're being fed. Like a lot of times, you know, I like to say younger Christians are more superficial, and I don't mean that in a negative sense, but people are
baby Christians.
Baby Christians, I guess you could say, yeah. The people that are trying to get the foundation, there is a lot that comes from that excited community, like one place, right, or that really good worship, or you know, different extracurricular activities and groups and stuff like that. Then you get to a point, like I'm at a point now where I'm I'm looking for straight Bible fed. Like I want to be able to sit on a verse for 10 minutes and hear our pastor go into the background and the history and the complexities. That's where I'm at. And it's not, you know, better or worse. There's times where, you know, I kind of jump back and forth. And sometimes it's nice to go to a different church.
Just a different stage of life, right?
It is. Yeah. And so I like the fact that we have different churches. And that's one of the questions that I ask people when they ask me, like, where do you go to church? I'm like, well, what are you looking for? Right? What is the community that you want?
What's the one downtown that Leah got baptized in on Sherman?
So that is the Cause.
Cause. That was a good service when we were there.
Yep.
I enjoyed that.
Cause is a good one. Very young church, right?
Great location.
Not where I would send my mom.
Yeah.
Like my mom, I wouldn't be like, hey, go here. She would be, I mean, she'd be wearing earplugs. She'd be like, no, I can't do this.
It's so radically different from how I grew up on the East Coast, going to a Lutheran church. It was stuffy, all old people. Yeah. There was like 5 kids. Beautiful building, but I had like there was zero interest. Yeah. Right, I just didn't even want to be there as a child. It was
same.
Interesting.
Very big theological difference, and we talk about that. You know, when I get into let's just say discussions with other Christians, and there's a divide over something. What it really comes down to for me is like, is this a salvation issue? Because if it's not a salvation issue, then it doesn't really bother me. If somebody wants to say, oh, this certain thing happened or whatever else, it'd be like if I discussed with somebody that wasn't a believer and they're like, do you really think Moses parted the Red Sea? Well, you know what? Whether he did or didn't is not a salvation issue in my mind. Okay, so we can talk all about this and have fun with it, but really the the salvation issue is, do you believe that Jesus was the Son of God? Do you extend yourself to him and say, hey, like, this is who I am and I want you in my life? That's the focus, right?
When you say salvation issue, that's what you mean, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Like, what is it that brings you to salvation with Jesus? It's not believing whether or not the Red Seas were parted. Now, if you believe, I will say this, though, for people that don't know, when you start diving into Jesus, right, and you start developing that relationship, when you look at God in just general and you say, okay, so I am under the belief that God created everything from nothing, right? This massive, incredible thing. When you turn around and say, well, could he part the Red Seas? Like, bro, he made
everything.
You said that he made everything and now you're worried about him moving water? Like, come on. It's not even something that I don't even waste my time with it.
Good point.
So, I'm also not smart enough to have those theology conversations. I'm like, oh, Jesus is Savior? Cool. Yep. Awesome.
But that has a place for people, right? Those conversations have a place for people.
When you're as old as Dave, you'll be
very wise. I cannot wait.
No, you know what? Dave is going to be a pastor someday. Like, he is very good at these conversations.
NIE church?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't surprise me. You know what I like? When you start talking about church, your eyes get a little glassy.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
I can just, the emotion is right there.
Yeah. So funny that you say that, my eyes get glassy. So he doesn't have tear ducts. This guy can't cry. He can't cry. No, he will not cry. He said one time, he's like, you almost got me there.
I'm working on it, okay? Like, I am trying to
Seth
get
is
there.
a man's man. That's why whenever people call our business line, they're like, hey. And I'm like, hey, this is Dave from North Idaho Experience. You're like, oh, cool. Is Seth there?
Yeah, I need to talk to Seth.
Yeah, no, Seth isn't here.
It's a generational thing. We're working on it, you know?
No.
It's not like... it's the way I was raised, right? Like, it's not cool. I used to think, my dad.
Think it was cool in my family to cry?
I don't. I mean, you had a pet rat, bro. I don't know what to tell you.
Cut that. What's his? Bob, you can cut out that I had a rat.
I grew up in an era when it was like, you did like, no, you don't cry. Like, men don't cry, right? It was beat into my head as a child, and now I can't break through that.
That's
I
funny.
swear I haven't cried in 20 years. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I have a tendency to get glassy-eyed when I pray. And so I have to leave my eyes open sometimes. I'm like, I'll finish it, like, people are like, you
I'll
good?
cry
Be like,
every worship.
Dude.
You know what? I was watching the season finale of Yellowstone last night, 1923.
I can't.
And I was like, what is this feeling? Like a little bit of pressure
You're like,
behind
is
my
this
eyes.
it?
Yeah, like I think I was close. I'm just gonna say I was close. I was proud of
You're
myself.
like, everybody come look.
Yeah.
So I'd like to ask you more. Like, tell me about your faith journey. How long have you been Christian? Like, how did you come through this?
Because you said you grew up in Lutheran
Lutheran.
church. Was yours like mine with old stuffy people?
Yeah. And I was like,
and like not nice people.
We had a lot of young people like in middle school, and like high school, but I was like the only girl that went to the one school, and all the other girls went to the other one, so I felt very excluded anyway.
Yeah.
So, but agreed, it's very like by the book, you do all these things, but I'm like, I don't have any personal connection to this. I have no idea. Like, and so I kind of straight away, like, obviously you get baptized as a baby, right? Mm-hmm. But then once I went to PT school in Phoenix, I met my best friend who's from Iowa, and she's like, oh, come to church with me. And so I did, and it was like a big one, like a big rowdy one in Chandler, and I loved it. And I was like, oh, okay, this is, like, I get this. Like, this makes sense. And so I, like, refound my faith when I was, like, 22, and then was just, like, on fire for Jesus after that. And then I dated a loser who didn't know Jesus. Obviously, we've all done that. And then I broke up with him. And then once I met Sheldon, I was like, oh, you CrossFit? Cool. You're a really good athlete. Cool. But then I'm like, but like, do you know Jesus? And he was like, oh, I know Jesus. And I was like, oh.
Winner.
Yeah. And then we literally got married like 5 months later and then had a baby. So yeah, we followed the Christian trend. But then we were just on fire and we're like, this is it. And like, people live for Jesus up here. Like, it's one thing to just talk about it like, oh yeah, very stuffy, right? Like, we believe in Jesus, whatever. But like, if you don't show it, like, you're not going to get non-believers to buy in if you're not showing it. They're like, oh, if you're just talking about it, but you're also doing all these sins and you're just a normal person, like, why would I want to know Jesus? So it's like up here, people like live for it. And then people will start to realize, oh, what's different about Dave, right? Oh, he lives for Jesus. Like, you can tell when people are like on fire for Jesus and they don't just talk it, they walk it.
Yeah.
You know what?
His eyes.
That's I know. No, I'm going to get into it. Yeah. So that's one of my biggest fears. And one of the things that I've watched with so many people in faith is that, you know, people will do that. They'll be like, look at Dave, look at Seth, look at whoever it is, right? Mm-hmm. And people get put on pedestals. I mean, we do it to our pastors constantly, right? Yeah. We put our pastors on pedestals like, oh my gosh, I want to be just like Chris. I want to be just like Joel. I want to be just like these people. Mm-hmm. And then they mess up. Like they mess up, something bad happens, right? There's a marital issue. There's something that they did inappropriate that they preached about forever, and then all of a sudden you see these people just come down on somebody, and it's like, hold on, you know where the problem is? This is where the problem lies, especially with, I heard somebody say it. Caveat is there is a deception. I was in the gym one day, and I heard somebody talking about Trump, and I voted for Trump. I love the policies that are happening. But I heard a guy say, I truly believe that Trump has the Bible memorized. And I'm like, all right, dude, that's
a little much.
We're getting to the point where people are on a pedestal, right? Where you think that whatever they say, and that's not the way that it is. So you watch people, especially in a community, you come into a community, you find somebody that is following Jesus, and then they stumble. And then people get really broken up about it, and they want to point fingers, or other people say, that's why I don't go to church, these hypocrites. The problem is that people are not there focused on what they're supposed to be there for. You're supposed to be looking at Jesus, and instead you're comparing all these people. Man, if you put all your faith in people, you're going to get let down every time.
That is so powerful. You're so right, dude. I have, let me, full disclosure, I did not go to church for 30 years. I am just starting to explore this again.
I love it.
So if you asked me what church I go to, I don't know. I've been to church with Dave. And a lot of that stems from my childhood of being so disconnected and so forced into it.
It's the
and
rules.
I don't do well with rules. Ask Dave.
He doesn't follow my rules either. It pisses me off.
And then you mentioned, but I've always lived like a good life. I have a moral code that, if you look from the outside, you'd be like, oh yeah, he's a good person, right? And you're right, because I've caught myself doing that before, knowing people over the years that have gone to church, and I'll be like, he's like, look what he did, and pointing that finger.
Oh yeah.
And I know it's not right.
But it's our nature to sin as humans. So it's like we go to church, and we have to remember, like, church is a place full of imperfect people trying to praise Jesus.
Someone told me, actually it was John Porterfield, he said, you go to AA and it's all recovering alcoholics, right? And like you go to church, it's sinners that, like we all are, of course.
Recovering sinners.
That are, right?
That's in every day, over and over and over again.
Yeah.
People think that once you're saved that there's this belief that you're not going to sin anymore. It's like, man, it's not that you're not going to, but you're going to recognize those sins now. And when they happen, man, you get a broken heart. You're like, oh my gosh.
Sick.
But I get afraid. Like, I really do. When people if people recognize me and be like, man, dude, you're such a good Christian. I'm like, please taper that, dude. Because the last thing I want you to do is believe that I'm this great person, because I'm going to screw up. And it may affect you. I may even do it negligently. I may do something bad. And even though it hurts me, like, it's going to break you when you believe that I'm somebody that I'm not. Dude, I'm not Jesus. You're not. And that's the thing. That's really hard with church. And I think it's so important for people to stay focused on what it is that you're supposed to go there for, not the people that you're there with. That's a community. And more than anything, when you see those people stumble, I've learned over the past 7-8 years that when you see somebody stumble the hardest, you have to be the first one to go up and give them a hug and be like, hey,
it's okay,
dude, I love you.
I have seen you do that. I would never say names or situations because they're very sensitive, but I have seen you do that in a way that I've been like, holy shit.
It's hard, dude.
Yeah.
But man, it's one thing to say, like, look, I forgive you and I love you. If you're going to continue down that path, I can't walk with you right now. Right? If you're going to keep going that way, I'm not here to walk with you. But if you need help and you want to come back, dude, I'm here for you. And it's hard.
Christian life is hard. It's like, people think once you're saved, you're like, oh, my life's going to be daisies and roses. But it's harder being a Christian than it is, because you have people throwing stones all over the world. You have all these sins that you have to deal with. Like, it's when the world is where it is right now and being a Christian is not cool, right? That's when we need to put on the shield of God's word and be like, this is why we stand here. Like, we have to show that we love everybody and that we help the needy and all these things. We can't just talk about it. We got to show it.
Yeah. Very hard to do. I have a buddy that he goes over and works in the homeless shelters over in Spokane, and he was invited me one time, and I was like,
and see, that's a tough one.
I don't, and prior law enforcement, right? Like, I don't want to be around those people.
Yeah.
And he goes and does it, and I'm like, dang, man. Like, there's a little part of me that's like, wow,
we have
that's
to die to ourselves
really impressive
daily
to me. Yeah.
Yep. I don't like handouts. I don't like any of that stuff. Every now and then you get touched. I remember getting off the freeway in California one day, and I saw a guy holding a sign, anything helps, whatever. And I'm like, God. And it just kind of hit me. And I'm like, you know what? I need to let this go. I need to, not this guy. I need to. I don't know what he's going to do with my money. I remember reaching in. I just grabbed it out of my wallet. I didn't look. I just grabbed whatever money was in my wallet. I don't know how much to this day, if I had $10, if I had $150. I grabbed it and I handed it out the window and I just gave it to him. And it wasn't for him, honestly. It really wasn't. It was for me to be like, dude, this isn't my thing. Like,
it's God's money. We're just
like
it.
I need to learn to let go of that stuff and be like, here, it's yours. I'm like, oh my gosh, how much did I just give him? Like, shoot. Maybe he's going to go buy something he shouldn't buy with it. Maybe it's going to be good for him. I don't know. But it was my point to be like, all right, I got to let this go. So
there's something when you come from a place of abundance where like we have enough, right? Especially if we compare ourselves to other countries and the destitute in this country, we have more than enough. That's how we run our business.
Yeah.
You know, we're just try to be as generous as possible to people, and it comes back to you. It's like if you live, you know, with an abundance mindset, like you're never gonna lack.
And would you agree that God challenges you to give more than him?
Yeah. It's hard. It's like
Try.
every day we have to be like, okay, this is like tithing, like this is God, this is your money. I'm just managing it. Like what do you want me to do? I'll do it. So it's like really feeling where the Holy Spirit's like leading people to do what? To give their time, give resources, stuff like that. It's hard, but man, I'll tell you what, God's going to outgive you every time. You try to give something, you try to do something for somebody else, it's going to come back and pay dividends, right? And it's where your heart is. And so that's the cool thing about God is like you try to outgive him and he's like, no, like you can't even touch what I'm going to give you, right? He's always going to do better. And that's an amazing thing. So
I saw that happen to you. Obviously, I won't share the story, but
nope, we're going to keep that one under.
But it blew my mind.
It blew my mind. I told him a story and I was like, I darn near came to my knees. I'm like, holy smokes. Like it was cool. It's cool when you do something and you have like you see it and you're
see
like,
the blessings.
Whoa. Yeah, super gnarly. But
that's
believe that.
Yeah, I'm sorry to tease y'all like that.
I know,
I
dude.
cannot say
it is what it is.
Yeah.
So tell me real quick. So you when did you find your faith?
Probably like 22.
22?
And I'm 31 now.
Okay. Very influential age too, right? A lot of people come to Christ during that time and then walk away because it's easy to be influenced at a young age when you're trying to find yourself.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
So how'd that develop?
I think once I started getting immersed and was like, I need more. Like I need more. Like this is why I've been feeling broken or feeling lost like through high school, college. And then once I found it, I was like, oh, this is the missing piece that I was like now I'm like living for Jesus and like have this like positive mindset of like, this is like how I want to live my life. And it just changes everything you do, like 180 once you like accept Christ into your life. So
that's so cool.
Yeah, in PT school and then throughout, now it's like, cool, we get to raise a baby and try to instill all these things in her. So hopefully she doesn't.
What a great place to raise a child, right?
Yeah, that was a huge when we were like, where do we want to be? Like, how do we want to be around as many Christ-like people? Obviously, our goal is to spread the word to the gospel to non-Christ followers. And there's plenty here that can always be saved. But what a great place to raise.
Yeah, the values of this community are rock solid. And I think they mirror, the values of the church. So that was a big draw for us to move up here. Our kids are a little bit older, but when we came here, they were youngish. And just to be around that, right? Just to be around good people. There's nothing more important to me. And there's nothing more important to a lot of people out there because we see it every day, people that are moving here that are making huge sacrifices. 50% pay cut in work, whatever it is, like huge sacrifices that people are making to come to a place like this. And it blows my mind all the time.
Like it's worth it. You can't take your money to heaven. So it's like, how can I change my lifestyle to be in a place that I want to be?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a different mindset up here. And, it's funny. I was talking to, God, who was it the other day? Somebody was talking about like, well, what are you going to leave your kids? And I'm like, nothing. I'm going to leave them nothing. That's what I'm like. I'm going to spend every dime. And they're like, what? Don't you want to set your kids up? I go, yeah, I do want to set my kids up by teaching them how to fend for themselves. I'm not here to create passive income for my kids so that they can just live life. I want to teach them how to do it for themselves. And I've told my son and my daughter, I'm like, hey, Mom and I get in a plane crash right now. You guys are sitting pretty good. Like, you got the house, you got Nana's house, you got all this stuff. That'll be cool. But ultimately, I'm like, my job is not to set you guys up so that you're just you can just sit there and do nothing, right? I want you to work. I want you to fail. I want you to work the crappy jobs. I want you to learn what it's like to earn something, right? And that's really cool. And I think a lot of people in this community are very much like that with their kids. Like you're starting to see that trend back where it's not about just giving them. It's about like, dude, get to work.
Yeah.
Go do it.
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't want anything. I don't want anything from my parents. Like, go spend, live your life, enjoy
your thing.
I don't need anything. I don't want anything.
Yep.
Yeah, same with the kids. I mean,
Our kids just got a job this year, finally.
Yeah,
love
the
it.
boys, Hudson worked on Saturday. So they're working over at Hagedon Marine and cleaning boats and doing stuff. And I'm like, that's it.
Yep.
You just start at the bottom, man. Work your way up.
I've been working since I was like 13. My dad owned restaurants, and I was like 13 bussing tables like it's 7th grade.
That's
like, it's
cool.
just what you do. And,
Yep.
So talk to me about your PT. Are you doing PT up here now?
Yep. So I do home care. I had my own online business. I treated runners and high rocks athletes, CrossFitters online. Before when I was here and then in Phoenix, and then once I got pregnant and had the baby, it's kind of taken a little bit of a back end. Okay. It's very hard to be an entrepreneur. It's very challenging.
But up here, it's not.
Really?
Especially when you have good connections in the community, which you already have. Because you tell me you had a business like that. I'm like, there's so many people. This area is so full of athletes and super active people. I feel like you could do well up here with that.
So maybe I'll bring it back. Right now I do home care. People have surgery or go to the hospital. I treat them in their homes when they come back. So I'm with a couple agencies up here. Have nice flexibility to do stuff like this. Pick baby up, drop her off, work out whenever I need to. So it's flexibility. It works great.
Nice.
So that's what I'm doing right now. And then Sheldon's in the National Guard. He just had drill this weekend, and then he's in school for IT and cybersecurity. So we're working on that.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. So if anybody's hiring, let me know.
Yeah.
So it'll be done in a couple years.
If you just go drop a card off at all the jiu-jitsu gyms up here, which there are quite a few, and all the CrossFit gyms, you'd be busy in no time.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, and really that's kind of something that's really neat about up here is that, when you go down to big cities, you basically you look in the newspaper, you look online, like where can I find a job? Up here, if you start talking to people and be like, hey, this is what I do, I'd love an opportunity, you'd be amazed how quickly it spreads.
Yes, because nothing's really posted. It's very Like we just watched the one with the Shoshone County, and she's like, "Oh, we don't have a website for."
Yeah.
And Sheldon has National Guard. He works with people that work at the jail, and it's like, "Oh yeah, they just come by with your paper." We're like, "What?"
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. Very anti-corporation.
Yes, very much.
That's what we love about it. It's like, man,
people love it or they hate it.
So many small businesses.
I actually don't mind that the resort is putting up a massive new tower
I
because
think
it's the
great.
resort. But I am a little piffed that the freaking Marriott is coming in. I look at that and I'm like,
that's
I don't want you to do well here.
Yeah.
You have no place here in North Idaho. Marriott can go freaking wherever. And they're going to try to ingrain themselves in their community. I'm willing to bet, but I could care less about the Marriott being successful up here. I would much rather see something that's local. I know some people are like, oh, Hagedon's bad, Hagedon's good, whatever. Yeah. They're local, and that's what I want to
support.
support.
And they provide a lot of jobs.
They provide so much for the economy. I'm like, you want all these things, but you don't want growth.
That downtown is beautiful because
beautiful.
of that.
Yeah, phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm the same boat, dude. If all the Starbucks in town dried up and went away, I wouldn't care at all.
I haven't been to Starbucks in years.
Yeah,
it's like,
see, that's why I knew we had.
Don't bring us Starbucks.
I know we were cool.
Well, I'm cheap. I make coffee at home. I'm too cheap for that.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. But
I stopped drinking coffee.
Wait, what?
I'm done. I did it for 6 months. I'm over it.
I got him into it, and then I pretty much stopped drinking it, and now he's out. Okay.
It was starting to stain my bottom teeth.
I'm sure it was, dude.
And I'm like, this sucks. I've been trying it for 6 months. Coffee's terrible. Everybody tells me
you gave it a good try.
That's a long time to try it.
I gave it a go. Yeah. I was drinking like 3 cups a day, trying to find the good coffee.
And they all taste the same.
It's rare.
Yeah, they all suck.
There are some that just taste better, but unless you put a bunch of crap in it, right? But I usually drink it black. You were drinking it black.
But that was my goal, to find actual coffee that was good. And everybody told me, add this, do these things, get an iced one. I'm like, no, I'm just coffee. Tell me coffee's good.
It's all the fluff.
Yeah. I have this, so I cut way down on my coffee, not because of caffeine, but I was getting acid reflux. Whiskey, so don't bring me any more whiskey. I'm putting the brakes on the whiskey. I'm trying, don't worry. I'm switching to vodka. It's fine. But I was getting acid reflux. I think it was like, not that we drank a lot, but occasionally we would drink here socially. So I cut way down on the coffee. Now I'm drinking tea.
Tea's great.
Tea doesn't have enough caffeine for me. So I found in Pilgrims. Do you go to Pilgrims?
Not yet. We have not been. We've only been up here for a month, so we've not been yet. Okay. But we don't go to Trader Joe's either, so we're okay there.
Oh, we're gonna get back to Trader Joe's. Hold that thought. I found a tea there that's like high calf tea, so it's like 125 milligrams per tea bag. Yeah,
you're feeling it.
I'm feeling it. This is good shit. If you want to have like a party, you put 2 tea bags in. Like if I'm going to work out, I'll do that.
Really?
Yeah, but it tastes good, and it's got the caffeine in it, so I'm all about it. Anyway,
okay. Well, maybe I should give up coffee.
Yeah,
you're really inspiring me.
But go to the high calf tea.
Okay. So you haven't been to Pilgrims?
No.
Where do you shop?
Winco.
You shop at Winco?
Okay.
Yeah. Dude, down in California, you shop at Winco, everybody's like, oh, no.
I know.
Up here, actually, I really like Winco.
In Phoenix, I was like, Winco, gross. But then I was like, oh, it's so cheap. And there's everything. I love it.
We have some great options here. Super One, Fred Meyer.
Yeah.
I mean,
you know what Winco has, too, that I'm starting to pay more attention to is they have bulk items. You can go in and you can fill up bags of bulk items, even dog food. Like,
really?
it's awesome. Yeah.
I get real, I'm real cautious about processed foods. So I shop at Costco or Pilgrims, and Costco is just like not much on the food side. Maybe meat sometimes if I don't buy it locally, but like
toilet paper.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. And then most of it we do at Pilgrims. It's more expensive. That's a challenge for a lot of people. But Pilgrims is amazing. There's another natural grocer in town called Natural Grocers, I think.
Natural Grocers? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
On 95?
Yeah, it's on 95.
Okay.
Good as well. I'm just used to Pilgrims. I know where everything's at. I got my man Warren works down there. Like I got it figured out. So we go there a lot, and they make a lot of their own stuff.
Love that.
Yeah, a lot of probiotic stuff. You know, their bread is super good and not fortified. You know about fortified bread? Oh my god.
Folic acid.
Folic acid.
Get rid of it.
So when you see fortified, like, and we grew up, oh, it's fortified. Fucking good for me,
man's
right?
man.
Yeah. No, it means it's got folic acid in it, and I don't remember the percentage, but a large percentage of the population does not process folic acid, so it manifests
Only
itself.
when you're pregnant do you need it.
Folic acid.
I don't
and folate.
even know about that. That needs. I don't know.
We need to look at some studies on that.
So some folic acid manufacturer out there influenced the food industry at some point to make a lot of money, and they did a great job out of it because everybody thinks it's good. You got something to say?
Yeah, well, no, and I'll probably butcher this, but I believe it's folate, not folic acid, that you actually need. And folic acid is actually something that's not found naturally anywhere on the planet. It's actually completely synthetic. If you watch Gary Brecka's, type in Gary Brecka folic acid. And he will break this thing down to make you realize that folic acid is not anything that's ever been in your diet or anything else. You're actually looking for folate and some other things. And so anyways, they use folic acid. So you'll see it'll say folate, and then it'll say in parentheses folic acid. So that's a synthetic, and there's a lot of money in it, right? And it's funny. Some people love Gary Brecka, some people don't. He said his two biggest things, because a lot of the stuff that he promotes, it costs money, right? You get the multivitamins, you get all this, all these other things, you get the methylfolate, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, hydrogen water. But he's like, if you could do two things that would cost you almost no money to do, that would change you at a cellular level, he was like, get rid of fluoride, which we're working on
it, yep.
Okay, get rid of fluoride and stop folic acid.
Interesting.
That's it. Dave's Killer Bread.
I love Dave's
No
Killer
folic
Bread.
acid.
Yeah.
in that.
It's so
But
good.
you know what
Right?
it does have?
What?
Canola oil.
Dang it.
Oh, yeah.
Why?
I don't
Why,
know.
Dave's?
Dave,
Just use olive
damn
oil.
it.
Right. Avocado oil. Like,
Yeah.
come on, man.
I don't know why you need oil in bread,
I don't need.
but I don't know how to make bread. So
Yeah.
I would like to learn. I could get on the sourdough kick.
I make a mean sourdough. I have starter if you ever need starter.
Okay, I do.
There's a lot of sourdough folks in town. Like
It's
I
the
have
rave right now.
It is. I've introduced a bunch of people to it, and then they like 10x'd my knowledge, and I look at them, I'm like, whoa. Like,
Sourdough's great.
Yeah.
Nikki and
Eli,
did you have their sourdough bread?
Yeah, dude. They made that.
Good God, yes.
We need it in here.
Yeah, we should have brought some in.
No, we don't.
We could
No,
just
we
keep
don't.
I make sourdough pretzel bites that are so effing good, like it'll ruin your world. Like ruin your world. Dave knows. I've ruined his world with them. And it's easy. Like I don't
It's not that hard.
nerd out on it that hard. Like I've simplified it. I can bake a loaf pretty easily. I can bake that pretty easily. But yeah, there's something.
the
It's a
kick right
gateway
now.
though. It is a gateway. Next thing you know, you're gonna have chickens, and then you're gonna have goats, and you're like, holy.
Sheldon kind of wants to
shit.
homestead. He's like dipping into that. And I'm like, oh, I'm not ready for
here we
this
go.
yet.
So where do you guys live right now?
We're renting those brand new townhouses off 15th.
Oh, cool.
They're
Okay.
beautiful.
Oh, nice.
Everybody has a dog, has a yard. They're building a dog park. It's great.
Are you talking about the ones right up against the freeway?
Yeah.
Oh, they've already started renting those.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. There's like 10 of them on that side, and then there's. I mean, it's insane what they're developing.
Oh, cool.
Right there. Yeah. So
Nice.
they're great.
I
Great
see
starters
those.
and.
Wait, can we get back to Trader Joe's? Sorry, I got
Okay.
a couple more things going on.
Okay. No, go.
A lot of people were excited about Trader Joe's coming to town. I get excited sometimes, even though it's a bigger, it's a national corporation.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good for pilgrims because it brings
It's
people
good
to that
competition.
area. Yeah, the pilgrims put the crosswalk in right there because they knew those folks would be coming
back
back
and
and forth.
forth.
Yeah. I recently went there. My daughter wanted to go really bad, so we're like, okay, she's 14. She's like the snack master, as all 14-year-olds are, and she knows what's up. Like, we don't do a lot of this crap. So I'm like, all right, let's go. And then everything she picks up, she's like, I want these. I was like, okay, read the label. And then it's seed oil, right? Everything has seed oils in it. Trader Joe's masquerades as a health food store, but it is a processed food shithole. Sorry.
Wow. Okay.
Wow, we just
offended
lost half
people.
our viewers.
They're like,
watch
"Nyah.
it go. Woo,
If he doesn't
down.
like Trader Joe's, I'm out. It's not good for you people. Just look at the food labels. I get it. Like, it's delicious. All the stuff they make is really, and it's
course.
easy.
It's addictive.
They've got all the frozen foods. I've been down that road 10 years ago. I know.
Yeah.
But man, start reading the food labels and you will realize that you need to take that little crosswalk, go across
But here's
the
my
street to
pitch
Pilgrims.
too. Here's my pitch too for pilgrims. We've talked about this every single time we're on here about small business.
Yeah.
If you love North Idaho and you love the community that's here and the people, then keep the money here, right? Like the people that work at Pilgrims, the owners of Pilgrims, the people that supply Pilgrims with their food are local. When you buy there, 100% of your money, maybe not 100%, but let's just say close, 100% of your money goes back into this community to where somebody can buy cars or pay for PT or CrossFit or buy a house or whatever else it is. Whereas Trader Joe's, it leaves the community. It's like buying on Amazon. When you do that, you send your money out of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And this is why you've seen places like LA, Phoenix, Seattle, all these big cities. This is why you've seen a decline in the wealth of the community because you've sent your money somewhere else. And so when you go to Trader Joe's, just know that you're not helping North Idaho to keep its money here, to keep the wealth. One day you will complain that the roads aren't done and this building's taking too long and there's not enough activities for kids and our teachers don't get paid enough. That's because you're allowing the money to leave the community. Keep your money here. Shop local. Period.
I feel like I was a little too harsh on Trader Joe's. I apologize.
No, that was actually
He
pretty
just
good.
wants
I
his
do want to
viewers to
see if
come
the
back.
numbers dive right then or
Yeah,
what happens. We'll
yeah.
have to watch the analytics.
I mean, I stand by it. I don't eat there. I don't let
Is
the kids
what
eat
it
there.
is.
Yeah. It's a bummer. But yeah.
We need to go to Pilgrims. I think Sheldon has been to pick up something on this way home, but I have not been, so I need to.
Any new store is intimidating.
So you guys-
until you get the layout, but once you get the layout, it's like, okay.
So you guys make it to Winco. Do you guys ever go to Taj? Shop down there? It's right down the road.
I
Wait,
don't know
what?
what that is.
Taj?
What is that?
Oh, it's a gas station right down there.
TAJ?
TAJ, yeah.
Oh, down on 15th.
Yeah.
That's what you meant.
I mean,
It's
you're
on
right-
15th.
you're
It's
right
by
about-
the it's by the
Oh,
middle
yes.
school.
Yeah.
Is it it's the world's oldest grocer? Oldest.
Something like that.
That's what the sign says. I bought beer there once, I think.
I've been in there to buy cheeseburgers when I was a cop up here.
Cheeseburgers?
Cheeseburgers.
No kidding.
So when I was in law enforcement up here, we had a kid mentally challenged in his 20s, 30s, lived in a little house around the corner there. And anyways, he would call 911 and his caregiver would be there and we'd show up and he'd be really mad. He wanted to go to the hospital, but he didn't need to go to the hospital. And he'd be throwing a tantrum. And I found out one day that he loves those cheeseburgers from Tosh. And so I was on scene. I remember I was there with one of my favorite cops, and he's there talking to him. And I peek my head in. I'm like, "Hey, Mike, you want a hamburger?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "You be cool?" Like, "Yeah." And I leave, and I go down. And I get
You're like,
one.
"Don't go to the
It cost me like
hospital."
$6. I come back, I hand it to him, and he's chill. And I remember the other officer was like, dude, we can't just give him what he wants. I'm like, you know what? He lives a terrible life. Yeah. He has all these things against him. He wants a hamburger, and he's not going to call us for another 4 days. And the problem is solved. Let's go back to dealing with crime, real crime.
That is community policing, my friend.
Yeah,
right
here.
there.
Dude, here's a burger.
You're not gonna change. You're not gonna educate the young man, right? Like the other officer's thinking. You're not gonna teach him this lesson. Just solve the problem and move on to bigger things.
Yeah, we got other stuff to do in the community.
That's great.
Than sit there and talk to somebody.
Talk them out of going to the hospital.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm over it. You want a hamburger? So that was my thing. I spent a lot of money on freaking hamburgers for a couple weeks.
10 out of 10 though?
Yeah, no, it was fine. Totally worth it. Okay. Totally worth it.
From Taj, huh?
Yeah. I'd see the call come in and be like, 6'4", I got it. On it, en route to Taj, and then I'll be there.
I'll get you one and then I'll go.
Yeah, so it was good. No, I would not eat that. But, so getting back to you real quick. So PT, what does your husband do? You said he's doing IT?
He's in school for IT online because obviously National Guard's great with resources and benefits and that. So, and then he's working at Traffic Com. It's in Post Falls just to kind of pass time. He was a stay-at-home dad for a little bit when she was born, and he was like, I can't do this.
This is hard, yeah. Oh, and he's in National Guard too, right?
Yeah, so he gets all of the benefits from there, which is great. So ideally he wasn't working, going to school, whatever, and then he's like, I need to do something. I can't.
Now, you said when you came in, you said he's 100% Navajo?
Yeah, so he's from the Navajo Nation in Arizona. So his whole family's there. A lot of them still live on the reservation. His sister's in Phoenix. So it's definitely a very different culture and vibe. No one's really a Christian up there, right? They're very into their faith, and then their faith, right? And then he found Christ when he was like 20, when he moved to Phoenix.
That surprises me because I know there's a lot of opportunities for people to go and minister to the Navajo Nation. Yeah, I've seen that a lot with churches. Yeah, doesn't go that well.
A lot of them have issues from like the boarding schools and like all of that. When like his grandma's family, like
I learned that on Yellowstone, 1923. Just saying.
Wow.
But they take them and then they just take their kids for 10 years and they're like, oh, let me raise them like the white people, and then we'll
insane,
give them
right?
back
Can you imagine?
That sucks.
And it shows like they're very stoic. Most Native Americans, they don't have a ton of emotion because a lot of it, they don't know how to.
I can relate to that.
You can. So you guys would get along very well. Like when we first started talking and kind of courting, if you will, I was like, do you like me? Like, are you, I don't really know, are you interested, or you just talk to me? But it's a very different culture for sure.
Did he have any issues coming up here? Because you hear it all the time. Yeah. North Idaho, it's 90% white. The whole racist stuff.
It doesn't help that we're two white bald guys.
It does not
I know,
help.
and I'm a white privileged girl. Yeah. White girl syndrome, so.
Did he have any issues?
He did not. When we first started dating, I kind of was like, hey, this is where I'm at. Like, I want to move up north. I want to be close to my family. Eventually, just so you're aware, you can continue to date me or not, And he was like, nope, that's fine. Whatever you want. Like, as long as we're together and we have Christ and live that life, I don't care. So coming up here, cool. We've not had any issues. Obviously, being a biracial couple, nothing. It's definitely different going to Walmart and I'm used to being the only white person, and now I'm like, where are all the dark people at? But but it's
totally flipped from
very different. But he really knows nothing. He's had no issues. Everybody's been awesome. I mean, our baby looks just like him, so I haven't ran
across those issues at all up here,
and we've not either.
I just it actually breaks my heart when people think that, I'm a minority or a person of color and I'm not welcomed in that community. I'm like, man, just the opposite.
Come up,
get up here. Let's diversify. Let's get some great people up here. We're all about it.
Yeah, we judge people by their character, not nothing else.
100%.
And a lot of people just don't like the cold, and that's fine. Phoenix is a whole different ballgame. So
it's terrible.
It's awful.
Being
pregnant there was terrible.
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine.
Yeah. Yep.
Being pregnant or being there?
Both. I get very tired of the whole North Idaho's racist thing. I'm so tired of it. It's so dumb. As a cop in California, I dealt with legitimate skinheads frequently. I don't see them up here. No. I don't know. Did you ever deal with them? I'm sure there are some, right?
There would be normal citizens that would take that into their hands if they saw people that were doing that.
Because refer back to the values of the community, right? That's important.
I will say, man, that is something that makes me nervous is the political climate. Well, everywhere, right? Everywhere. I have one of my previous clients. I love her to death. Friend's mom was at the protest at 95 and Appleway the other day. She's very concerned about some stuff that's happening in the government, and she showed up there. And, I don't look at her any differently. It's, I'm like, hey, I totally get it. My problem is that I see politics have a tendency to tear a community. When something like that happens locally in our community, when there's conflict, it affects this community. It doesn't, Washington, D.C. doesn't give a shit.
No.
They don't know. They don't care. You can do these demonstrations wherever else. They're going to continue to do their job because they have a plan for the next 4 years, and that's what's going to happen, right? But when stuff like that happens, it can very quickly tear the fabric of a community.
It's very sad.
And so when you talk about being a Christ follower, right? Speaking to anybody that follows Jesus, like if you really want to step into that life and offer that and show your faith, then you have to realize that not every Christian is a Republican.
Yep.
Not every Christian is red. Now, you can go into all sorts of theological, well, you should be vote. I don't care.
They didn't have that back then.
No, I don't care, right? Like, there's still people, they have a belief, whether you agree with it or disagree with it. We're all being fed information from some bullshit source
I can't even watch
online.
it.
Right. And so we're just choosing what we want to receive. And so when I see stuff like that, I actually make it a point. In fact, I'm probably going to text her today and just say, hey, hope you're having a great day. Like, love you a ton. She doesn't know that I know that she was down there, but I'm like, that's fine. Do your thing. Just know that, like, I'm not here to cause conflict with people because you have a different political view. I'm going to vote differently than you, and that's fine, and that's my right. But I'm not going to sit here and listen to somebody haggle with me over how I need to change the way that I believe because they've received information from an equally shitty source. Right. And I'm on the different side of the spectrum. So.
Is there, or do you feel like people are trying to make the comparison that if you're Christian, you're a far right extremist? Is that happening?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And we like hate it. Like we like didn't vote. We'll admit it. I didn't even know anything about politics. I was so ignorant and I loved living my life not even aware. And now it's so divided. And I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm just like, regardless who you vote for, who's in president, like it all comes down to your house. Like you can make so much money and lose so much money under every presidency. It's like Jesus 100%. Is our savior. Like, yeah, I kind of agree with a lot of things from both sides, like a more moderate in that sense, but like Jesus is our savior and that's like how we have to focus our life.
Yeah, where it will make a difference, just so you know, not nationally necessarily, it really doesn't matter.
Yes.
Locally.
Yeah. That's where we're more
invested in. It does become
in.
important on a local level so that you can raise your kids the way that you want to.
Right.
And not
I
be
think it's
forced
important for
into it.
people to vote. I really do. I think it's one of those things because I didn't vote for a long time when I was younger.
Me neither. Same, yeah.
Yep. And then I realized that, like, you know, when I look at the fundamentals of the United States and the rights that I have, I'm like, man, if it's kind of like your muscles, right? Kind of like CrossFit. If you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah.
Well, if we don't utilize our ability to vote, we're going to lose it one day. Like you have to vote. You may disagree with somebody else. You may cancel out his vote. It doesn't matter. You have that right and that ability. Like we gotta embrace that and be excited. The problem is that you see an I voted on one person's shirt and I voted on another person's shirt, and this person, you know how they voted, you're not happy about it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hold on. Like that is exactly what gives you the right to put that sticker on.
To go back to the Christianity and how they're trying to tie it to far right extremism, I get that argument. That makes me so freaking mad because they do it with a lot of things. I mean, I've seen it like people that work out are far right extremists, like just dumb shit. You know, men that are more masculine, far right extremists, like all of these things. And I'm like,
sorry about that.
You're the definition.
You're the problem.
Me and my teary eyes.
I know. I'm like making my eyes water over
Yeah.
here.
Yes.
But it's so dumb. The media is so dumb, and people that still get their information from mainstream or corporate controlled media, like you're doing it wrong. My parents are super liberal. They don't live here. Don't worry. But
so you grew up like that?
I grew up on the East Coast. My entire family is super liberal.
Very common out there.
I never paid attention to it. Once I became a cop, my eyes were opened deeply to how society really is. And I share these stories in my family, and they're like, and I get where they're coming from, right? It's an emotional thing for them. Like they want to help other people. That's the
which
liberal,
we all
like,
do
we all
at the end of the day,
right?
but it's like, how do we?
We have different ways of getting there, and that's fine. But yeah, so they're where was I going with that? They're super.
And my family's super liberal.
We'll just leave it at that.
Going somewhere with that. Damn it.
We love them anyway.
Media. Okay, so my mom, she gets CNN alerts on her watch.
No.
Nonstop, ding, ding, and it's like you're just being brainwashed. And she'll Fox News is just as bad. They're both bad.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, so if you're sitting there and you got Fox News in the background all day and it's like you're just feeling angry all the time, it's because of that.
Your cortisol's high.
Shut
you're
it
all
off.
psyched up. Yeah, no.
It's meant to make you angry, so you'll keep listening to it. That's all
it's crazy.
it is.
It's rage bait, as the kids
It
say.
is 100%.
My son does that to
dude.
me. Rage baits. I want to put him through the freaking wall.
Well,
I'm
you're
like,
pretty easy to
"Whoa."
rate. Yeah,
Shut
it's
up.
fun. It's fun.
Let me ask you a question. I'll put you on the spot then.
Oh.
Since we're talking about information, I know we're getting closer.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about, and we're going to have a podcast about this, we need to have our conspiracy theory podcast. But let me ask you this.
I believe we landed on the moon.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask.
I knew he was going to ask that.
Do you believe that we landed on the moon?
She read your mind.
Why?
I don't know. I really know nothing. I am very ignorant. I'm like, yeah, sure. I
But
kind of believe.
why do you believe it?
Because they told me.
Right. Because you received information
Yeah.
from somebody. Can you prove to me that we landed on the
No.
moon? He doesn't believe we landed on the moon, right?
I mean,
Aren't you
okay,
going to that
I'm like,
side?
I'm
When
like
you brought it up-
51% no.
Okay, so could
But
you
I'm,
prove that to
I
me?
can't prove it either.
So that's the problem, right? There's so much in this world. We think that we know so much. The truth is, what I know is that it's a little warm in this room, right? Like,
yeah,
I know
it always
that.
gets- it
I
always
can
gets-
validate that. I can prove it to you. I
You
know
can
that's
feel it.
blue. I know that's there. We actually know so little. We think that we know. You know what? You can come in here all day long and be like, let me prove to you that we landed on the moon. I'm like, what resource
Yes.
are you going to give me? What are you going to give me? Even if it was your phone that you flew up there and did it, I still have in the back
could
of my
be
mind
AI.
that could,
Oh,
right.
yeah.
So the truth is that we decide to believe based off of the sources that we have. Now, and we look at sources as being credible or not, right? We look at CNN as not credible or Fox as not credible. But this cool thing I found on the internet, look, they got this video and you can see how the flag is actually moving in the wind and it shouldn't be. Dude,
I don't know.
You don't know. And honestly, here's the thing. I'm going to
okay
give
with
you the
not
kicker
knowing.
right now. I'm going to give you the kicker. It doesn't matter.
Good point.
Whether we landed on the moon. It's not going to change your life, or mine. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And personally, I think we did. And people are like, why didn't we go back? I'm like, because there's nothing there. Have you been to Phoenix? You've been there once and you're like, I'm not going back.
Yeah, it's
There's
getting,
nothing here,
it's
nothing
getting
living.
so hot. Last year we hit 100 around Memorial Day.
Oh, shit.
And this year they're almost going to be at 100 like this week.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
they've
Oh,
had
thank you.
1 month of really nice winter, and I was like, oh, you guys need this. I love this for you because we just know what the summer is.
Dude.
Well, if you have any friends looking to move up here from Phoenix,
I'm
have them
trying to
reach out to
convince-
us
I'm trying to
because
get
we
people
will
to
vet
come.
them.
Yes.
And we'll be like, Idaho is or isn't for you.
My,
we'll let you know.
my good friends Chris and Kathleen, they are former Phoenix PD.
Yep.
Great people. They'll be moving here
Fade?
soon. Yes.
Yes.
The hardest thing was the winter.
Yeah.
I grew up in Bozeman. It's very sunny. Phoenix is very sunny. Last winter, I really struggled, and I was like, okay, now I need to be prepared for how I'm going to do better this winter.
Get
because it was
your
really
red
hard.
light therapy.
Yes.
Get your vitamin D.
I was not anticipating it,
Yeah.
and then
Go
I was like,
somewhere.
oh, it's like Bozeman. Like the sun goes down really early. I've done this for 23 years, and then the cloudiness really threw me off. So
Yeah.
now I'm prepared.
That's the biggest complaint I think
Yeah,
people get
I just
after
wasn't
they live up
anticipating
here.
it. Yep. I wasn't really ready
It's
for it.
not necessarily super snowy. It's not super
No, it's very
cold.
mild compared to Bozeman. It's great.
But yeah, that long period of time
Yeah.
where it's pretty gray.
Then I have to work out in the afternoon because it's like, what else am I going
Got
to
it.
do? The sun's
Right.
going down
No,
at
get
4.
up
I
at
can't go to
4:30.
bed at
Get up at-
4:30 p.m.
I mean, you could. I have found
do.
myself in
it.
bed at 7:30.
7:30 is great.
Recently,
Yeah.
and I'm like, wow, that's pretty damn early. Like, I'm gonna pretend to read for 10 minutes, and then I don't. But
So yes on the moon, no.
I would
And
say something
Seth,
different. I
okay.
really don't know.
You got to pick a side. You got to pick a
think I'm
side.
just gonna
we
be
either
in the
did or we
middle.
didn't,
I
right?
don't know.
Nope, we either did or we didn't.
commit.
One
I'll
of the
say
two.
we did. Okay,
All right,
I'll
here we
say
go.
we did.
Safe call.
And Seth
Yeah.
is going to plan a conspiracy theory podcast. So if you have some cool conspiracy theories for us to talk about,
Yeah,
please
send 'em in.
Send them in because this will be
we're
fun.
gonna bring in an expert, right?
Let's go.
We're
Yes.
gonna bring in a guy. Okay, we got a guy.
We're gonna do it.
Yeah,
Better be credible.
We're gonna hit it.
it'll
It's
be
gonna
fun. I
good.
can't guarantee it'll
I
be
can't
credible.
wait.
I'm gonna have to get.
We've already proved
we're
that
gonna have to drink
chemtrails
whiskey
are
on that
real.
one.
There's no issues with that. It is
Yeah,
what it is.
we're past that.
Yeah, I don't even care.
That one's been proven.
Yeah, government doesn't even deny it.
Kayleigh, Shondee, thank you.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure talking to you.
I've been so excited.
Yeah.
I think it's great to educate everybody on the World Wide Web about why Coeur d'Alene's great, North Idaho is great. We love it. I mean, we're so excited to be back here, and everybody, well, not everybody should move here, but if people are looking for a Christian base, like everybody's very active, very great. Like it's a great option for young families, especially just kind of getting into it, you know.
Yeah.
Like the outdoors.
So
Yes,
if you're of
absolutely.
good character, might be a great place to live.
Done.
If you're shitty, go live somewhere else. Thank you.
Good pitch.
Bye.